beautiful goal! The toe drag from forehand to backhand!
You're listening to the Coast to Coast podcast.
Welcome back to another edition of Coast to Coast. I'm your host, Colton Praill. With me today, Eli Bullen, Ian Joudrey, and Scott Billey. We're doing a special video episode, and in studios that aren't our own, we'd like to send a special thank you to Talking Bluntly. Check them out, talkingbluntly.com, for hosting us today. We're in Ottawa. We just went and saw the Sens and Rangers, and as a result, we're going to do a little Sens-Rangers postgame show. So, guys, Sens fall 2-1 in the shootout, and for me, I thought it was one of the best games Ottawa's played this entire year. They looked competent. Their defense wasn't as shaky. Chris Weidman had a stellar game. Mike Hoffman was flying. To me, this is the Senators team I expected to see when they started the season, and I'm hopeful for more.
No, definitely. They definitely came out flying. They looked as if they had a little bit more to play for than they have in games prior in the season. And to come up against a Rangers team who has now won 8 straight with this win today, it shows what they can actually do. It shows that they might actually be able to compete in the Eastern Conference, which has grown into a tougher conference in years past, where 90 points would get you into the playoffs. Now it's looking as if you need high 90s, you need into the hundreds to try to even make it into eighth spot. So if they're going to be here to play with the teams like the New York Rangers, who are looking like a hot team right out of the gate, then I could definitely see them pushing for that 8th spot, maybe 7.
Well, absolutely, Eli. But the Rangers looked anything but a hot team today. They definitely got, I don't want to say they got lucky, but they definitely got a fortunate hand dealt to them when the game got into overtime. And then when Dan Boyle got up in the shootout, I'm sure a lot of us were up in arms as to why Dan Boyle was picked to be the third shooter for New York, but then he obviously came through for the Rangers.
Well, obviously any time that a game it goes to a 3-on-3 overtime, it's up for grabs. But when you look at how this game played out in regulation, the thing that impressed me most with the Senators is how much they limited the Rangers' high-scoring chances. The Rangers, they didn't really get any great opportunities. Throughout the second period, we saw them make a couple of good passes in the offensive end. But the Senators did a great job getting in there and making sure that they didn't get any quality chances. That's why you saw Craig Anderson. He didn't have to do anything spectacular today, but he still only allowed 1 goal in over 60 minutes. Which really impressed me the most is just how much they shut down the Rangers' high-powered offense.
The thing was that is going to hurt Ottawa, though, is the fact that they still allowed 34 shots in this game. They were outshot by 11.
It's true, but
23.
They had attempted New York 58-55, and the scoring chances were 20-19 for the Rangers.
But that's not going to cut it when you're playing in Rangers' team, which is so good at blocking shots now. Historically, they're not as good as that Rangers team we saw in the playoffs 2 or 3 years ago. But it's still a team that you're going to have to grind and play extremely tough against.
And the way I see it, I don't see something like that being changed for Ottawa anytime soon. They're still going to be the team that gives up 30 to 40 shots or 40 to 50 shot attempts on a nightly basis, and something needs to change if Ottawa wants to make a serious run at the playoffs.
I agree, but I think as well as you have those defensive concerns, you shouldn't be as worried about it offensively. You didn't accumulate the amount of shots you wanted, but you were neck and neck in scoring chances. You were neck and neck in attempts. You just have to focus on getting the puck on net. And I think they had a lot of really good attempts, especially in the third period. They had a bunch of fast breaks where they just couldn't hit the net. They kept firing short side and just missing, just clipping the bar. Mark Stone had that glorious chance in the slot, and he rings it off the crossbar. And I think that was a descriptor of that entire third period where they just couldn't hit the net, and that's when we saw the Rangers pull away. Because up until that point, the shots were pretty close. It was 10-10, then 15-15, then 21-20. For that entire 40 minutes, that first 40 minutes, they were neck and neck with the Rangers. Well, I know the Rangers aren't a strong possession team. They're still a very good they're still a good hockey team, one of the best in the Eastern Conference, and to play them so evenly is a good sign for the Senators, who haven't had a lot of good signs.
Yeah, but you got to look at it, too, as the fact that the Rangers did play 17 minutes without one of their key forwards in Chris Kreider, who got a 10-minute misconduct call, which I didn't even know the call before. And so if you get an intention or
17 penalty minutes,
17 penalty minutes in the game, that's a huge loss for the Rangers, and
definitely a big
plays on the
fantasy
top
effect
line
for anyone.
So if you're missing a top line winger, then that's a huge play. So you also have to take that kind of into effect, is how well they were able to execute offensively because of the lack that the Rangers had offensively.
For me, the problem with Kreider having the 17 minutes and penalties today was just that he took on a guy like Zach Smith. I mean, you're a top 6 forward for the New York Rangers. Why are you fighting Zach Smith?
Because
I know he
Zach
took
Smith
a shot.
I
know he took a shot at Derek Stepan, but you have guys to handle that. You have Jarrett Stoles or other players like that.
Yeah, who weren't on the ice at the time.
Then you let him go on the ice and take care of it. You don't let Kreider do that.
Yeah, but
Kreider's one of your better
in sports,
scorers.
sometimes there's just you get impulse, and at that time in impulse,
Okay,
I am totally
and
okay with you.
and power to Chris
your
Kreider
number one
then.
center.
More power to Kreider for standing up for his
I'm perfectly
teammates.
fine with him doing that. That was a great step up.
Absolutely.
Defending his teammate and in a situation like
Don't
that.
get me
in
wrong.
a tight game full of emotions on the road, absolutely.
But
I have
that's
no
the
problem with that.
consequence then. The consequence is that you don't have him for 17 minutes.
Absolutely, and
Maybe him.
that was a bit. I felt like the 17 minutes a bit much. The 10-minute misconduct, I understand. But
It's
then,
automatic. That's the thing. If you're going to instigate,
I understand completely. No, but
Yeah.
it's, and I know that's the risk you take, and they were forced to work without him in the third period, and they still, had a outweighed Ottawa in time and attack crazily, and that's what it was in that second and third period. They held on to the puck longer than anyone. It seemed like whenever the Sens got the puck back, it was like they were on the PK the whole time, and they outplayed them in that sense, but they did enough in their defensive end to stop the Rangers' big scores that they compensated for it enough and picked up the point in the standings.
I think the one thing the Rangers did really, really well this game was get down low. They had so many shots in tight in that really high danger zone right in front of the goalie's crease, a little off, not the center slot, but just off to the side where those rebounds are, and they were really gritty. And when you keep doing that and you continuously get shots from that location, eventually you're going to score. The Sens aren't always going to be able to block you off, or Anderson's not always going to make an impressive diving stick save and you miss the open net. It's going to go in eventually. And so when I watched that game from New York, they did a really good job in the offensive zone of creating dangerous pressure, not just pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw that, I think, just in the opening minutes. Stepan missed a wide open net, and they continue to go into it. But the problem is when you're going there too much, it almost seems like they keep firing at something that's nothing there. You keep beating your hand against a brick wall. It's not going to break. It just seems like
all it's going to do is hurt yourself. Like when there's so many times where teams go into that dirty area and try to get into those gritty areas hard, like more consistently. But the thing that is flawed about that is that if your whole team is not playing well positionally, it creates gaps, especially in the defense and especially in the from taking the puck from one end to the other end. Like there was plenty of times where New York was just too hard into those gritty areas that Ottawa just took the puck, went the other way, and there was a 3-on-2, 4-on-2.
Exactly.
And there was just situations where they were getting outplayed down, and that's why Ottawa had more shots or more scoring chances like presented or given than New York did. And that's why that their chances were just a little bit higher.
And exactly, but when you have a defenseman like Ryan McDonough and Dan Girardi on your team, you can afford to cycle the puck a bit more. And it seemed like the Rangers were just trying to go down low to the dirty areas and trying to sneak one in. And I think that's why you only saw them push one goal across in 60 minutes of regulation.
Absolutely. And you talk about those gaps. Ottawa definitely tried to exploit that throughout the large portion of the game. Unfortunately for Ottawa, they weren't able to get more than one past Lundqvist, but it's something they definitely are trying to exploit. And if they had some better talent like on the ice, or they were able to connect on those passes, the game goes a different way, but they weren't able to do it. But that's also another reason why I think Ottawa likes to go along the perimeter. They have guys like Carlson, and now they have this new guy, Chris Weidman, who's getting in the lineup more, I want to compare him to Carlson, but obviously on a whole different level. But he's similar the way he plays, where he likes to have the puck along the perimeter. They like to move the puck along the outside and get shots from the outside and then get into those gritty areas.
I think it's interesting that you brought up Dan Girardi and McDonough, because as strong as McDonough typically is and as Dan Girardi's been in the past, I think it was really Keith Yandle tonight that was the number one guy for the Rangers.
I don't say that much. Yeah, I agree with you, and I don't say that much.
He had one heck of a game, and that's really rare for him. I mean, he's really good in the offensive zone, and with second pairing minutes, I think he can be one of the better guys in the NHL. But he was all over the ice tonight and just on fire. He big part in that first goal, obviously, but just even in his defensive end, cycling it out on the power play, on the penalty kill, his zone exits tonight. That was the big thing that struck me. He was so smooth skating out of the zone, and it's been a while since I've seen Keith Yandle so confident in his own movement.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably one of the best games I've seen Keith Yandle play since he's left Phoenix. And that's huge for him. It's like when he came over to New York, he just never seemed to almost find his groove. When he was playing with Ekman Larsson over in Arizona, over in Phoenix with the Coyotes, and that he just seemed to have his systems down. He seemed to have consistency. He always seemed to be playing at a high skill place. And right now with the Rangers, he just hasn't been able to just get there. And tonight, I saw it for the first time from Keith Yandle, and it was great. The Rangers finally got what they gave up for last year.
He definitely could not figure it out last year.
But you know what? I think that's what it takes, though, for someone like Yandle. He needs to be playing alongside someone like Oliver Ekman-Larsson to be able to have enough comfortability with his teammates to be able to skate up the ice with the puck and not have to worry that he's going to lose the puck and the puck's going to end up in his own net. I mean, having a goalie like Henrik Lundqvist sure has helped that, but I mean, now he's starting to get more comfortable. He's in, his second season in New York?
Mm-hmm.
And
he came over last year at the deadline.
Yeah, and now he's getting more comfortable. He knows he's comfortable with the defenders he's playing with. And now, like you said, he's fitting into that system that New York has.
Well, that was the thing. He just was really uncomfortable last year coming over from Phoenix. It seemed like, watching him play, I thought, it's not like playing with Ekman-Larsson. You're going to have to adapt to this different style of play that the Rangers run.
And there's more pressure on him.
Absolutely. Well, you're playing on Broadway. It's completely different. And now, all of a sudden, you're right. He's playing a lot better in the defensive end. Last year in the postseason, he was just a horror show. He was terrible to watch. But, yeah, absolutely. If they can get a guy like him going, all of a sudden you have some depth in your defensive pairings. A team that's already won 8 in a row, that's scary in the Eastern Conference.
And for me, you mentioned someone like Yandle who has to get comfortable with the team. Another situation that reminds me of is Jason Spezza in Dallas. Last year when he came over from the Senators to went to Dallas, he did not look comfortable in Dallas. He was someone who was adjusting. He was a first line. He was the guy in Ottawa. Everything went through him or Erik Karlsson, and then he went to Dallas, and he had to adjust to be the number 3 guy behind Jamie Benn, behind Tyler Seguin, and he had a terrible time adjusting to that. But now that he's more comfortable, he's in his second year. Valery Nichushkin, he's healthy, and he's playing with him, and now he's definitely able to adjust now, and he's definitely more comfortable in that Dallas Stars system.
I think the same thing goes for Alesh Hemsky, who also moved over there. But all right, let's move away from this game. Let's go to just some random thoughts from around the NHL. Let's start off with the smaller goaltender equipment argument to increase scoring. Personally, I don't think scoring needs to change. It's only gone down roughly 1 goal per game in the last 5 years or so. It's not that bad to me, and I like it where it is. Now, admittedly, I didn't grow up in the heydays of the 70s and the 80s, but I did grow up in the trap of the 90s, and that was boring hockey. And I think what we've got now is a good pace, or a good mix, but we've got a quick pace, and it's not outrageous. When Nashville wins 7-5 against Ottawa, yes, that's exciting, but if every game is like that, it gets old.
Well, the fact is I don't think that people are looking at it the right way. I think that just goaltending is getting so much better in the league, and you get goalies coming up that have been training since they were 10 years old, and the athleticism that they just have is so astounding. Like Henrik Lundqvist being one of the best goalies in the league, he's so big and so versatile. One of the split saves that he made on a 2-on-1 today was just tremendous. He got full cross crease, absolutely beautiful save, and just people like Devin Dubnyk that just come out of nowhere is because that the style of goaltending is just going to their ability, and it changes over time, and that's why goalies are just getting better. They're adapting to the way shooters shoot, but the thing is, shooters need to adapt to the way goaltenders are going into. I don't think that there needs to be a change in goaltending equipment. I don't think there needs to be a change in net sizing. I just think that the change needs to be from the inside. Players need to adapt to goaltending the same way that goalies adapt to players, and it's happened in the 5 years, and it's just that players think that it's not their job to change. It's just the goalies need to have smaller equipment, need to have bigger nets.
Well, I think we've seen some changes, for example, moving from the trap to the style of play we have now was implemented a large part due to the lockout. The way the game was played changed. The pace of the game changed. It wasn't that the trap died. We still see it in teams like Minnesota or New Jersey. It's just not as effective anymore because speed is so deadly. And I don't think players' tactics have changed that much either. I think players always knew, get the goalie moving. Before, in the 80s, when the pads were so small, it was easy. Just slide the puck on the ice. But since that's been taken away, the thought process has always been get the goalie moving, cross that royal road, get him to move laterally, and then bring it back or shoot quickly when he's not in position yet. Why that doesn't need to change is because that's always been consistent. That's always been the best way to score. You've got a much higher chance of scoring if you make a pass across that royal road. And there's been some great work done by Chris Delury in New York for the Rangers out of that. But the reason I think the goaltending has changed so much is because the guys are bigger. You know, the average size of a goalie is 6'4" now. That's huge compared to what it used to be. You look at a guy like Ben Bishop. Stands 6'7". All he has to do is get on his knees and sit there, and he covers most of the net. A guy like Peter Mrazek, who's just a behemoth of a man, who just sits in net and watches the pucks bounce off of him. I mean, look at Henrik Lundqvist in net and then out of it. I mean, he was on the late night show with Jimmy Fallon the other day, and he's holding his glove and his blocker, and I was astounded by the size of them relative to him because I'd never seen him with those without the chest protector. He looks like an ant when he's holding them. They're just so big, so I can understand why the NHL would say, maybe we do need to shrink these, but that's really only if you think goal scoring is an issue, and I don't think it is yet.
Well, no, it's because the bottom line is everyone wants to see goals scored. That's what people like to watch. That's what fans like to see. The way I kind of look at it is, when during that Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, everyone kind of said, oh, this is boring. They're just dancing around the ring. But realistically, a good boxing match is not necessarily a quick knockout. Mm-hmm. It never has been. It's the art of boxing, of really wearing down your opponent, keeping your stamina up, and also attacking them in different ways. It's the same thing when it comes to almost any sport, particularly with hockey. A good game is not necessarily filled with scoring. It's attacking in different ways. It's goaltending well, and that's the way I look at it. There's not necessarily a problem with the scoring. It's just that's what fans want to see is more of it.
It's the fact that
I love that.
Yeah, no, it's just the fact that the casual fan just
is
so into
casual
into
fan
scoring.
wants to see goals.
Yeah, wants to see
think of it this way,
goals. But like, if a fan like every day like me or you that watches hockey like religiously or is into the game and like studies the game and talks about the game all the time, a 1-1 game where shots are 30 to 26 and you see like rushes up and down the ice, that's interesting to us. And it's just the fact that, like I said before, the casual fan just wants to see those 7-5 games. They want to see people crashing into the boards because they just scored a goal. They want to see people pumped up. So it's just
scoring is always going to draw fans.
Yeah,
exactly. Colton hates pitching duels. He hates them in baseball.
I really
it's a 1-0 Blue Jays game. I'm loving it.
He texts
me great game, and I'm thinking, yeah, it is. I found out he was sarcastically, but for me, that's a great game. Someone who truly loves baseball and the art of pitching, but that's not what your typical non-everyday fan wants.
I think a good way to describe it or think of it, and it works well tonight as she's fighting, is Ronda Rousey. Could you imagine if there was 82 Rousey fights a year? Combined time, maybe an hour? That would get old so quickly because I would want to see what she has to show. I would want to see more from her. I would get bored of a 30-second win or a 1-minute win or a first-round knockout. It wouldn't be entertaining to me.
So yeah, what you've just been seeing with Ronda Rousey, especially in the past little bit, is that with her fights going only 30 seconds into a minute, and she knows that people are just going to get used to that, get used to seeing it. And so you see her entertainment factor come out, and you see that last night in the weigh-in when she took a little thing that like wouldn't have gotten her over the edge, say like 2-3 fights ago, is putting her over the edge because she knows that she wants to keep people interested. She wants to keep people kind of wanting more. And I thought especially with her speech afterwards, after the whole kind of kerfuffle undid, was super interesting. It just it was almost like a movie, I wanted to say, but it was just real life. And that's why I think that when people say that sports is the #1 reality TV show, it's right, because you absolutely have no idea what's going to happen. I had no idea that Ronda Rousey was going to freak out and just tell her that she was pretty much going to kill her tonight, which is crazy.
She is.
It's crazy.
She's one of the most entertaining athletes for me.
For sure.
But moving from what could have been the fight of the year to the rookies of the year. Mike Condon, 4-0-2 since Price went down. He is making a name for himself, and a lot of people are putting him in that Calder nomination category. For me, he's not quite there yet. I think it's Nikolai Ehlers. Since he came in, he has been on fire for Winnipeg. Leads them in scoring chances, top up there in points. He has looked like a #1 center, to be honest. He's looked like he belongs in the NHL and like he's been here for a while. He doesn't look out of place. He doesn't look like Dylan Larkin in Detroit has been really, really good for them. But you can see that he's playing against lesser competition, guys who, maybe have been in the NHL for a while, but they don't have the same kind of natural raw talent that he does. Nick Ehlers is playing top 6 minutes and is crushing it. And I think he should be a serious contender for the Calder.
Dylan Larkin's playing on the first line, except for last night.
He started on the fourth and then the third. And he's moved around.
He has started on the fourth line, and ever since Game 2, when he scored his first goal, he has been playing with Henrik Zetterberg and Justin Abdelkader. I know, because I have him on 5 fantasy teams, and that's the only reason why I picked him up. Second of all, advanced stats mean nothing when it comes to the Calder
Scoring
trophy.
chances is not an advanced stat.
Scoring
at all.
chances.
It's in the box score.
Scoring chances does not even mean anything.
Well, it means
Sure
something.
they do.
It means something.
We went over this before.
Mean the equivalent.
Okay. Max Domi, for me, is probably my guy for the Calder.
What does Max Domi bring for you that Ehlers doesn't?
He brings wins to Arizona.
Everybody, mark this on your calendar right now. November 14th, 2015. Max Domi brings wins to the Arizona Coyotes. I will come back to you in a month, and they will have maybe 4 or 5 wins, and we will talk about it then. This team is not going to keep winning at all.
Why? Why not?
Because they are
the Pacific Division is awful. I don't see
the Pacific Division.
Why won't they keep winning? If they have guys like Domi and Duclair who are going to step up every night against these weak opponents.
Who are shooting insanely high percentages.
You've never seen them in the NHL. This is their first year. Who says that they're not going to be shooting this?
I guarantee you,
Why?
100%, Max Domi is not the best shooter in the NHL.
Well, he's not the best shooter in the NHL, but he
That's what he's shooting like right now, though. And you're saying it's going to continue. I guarantee you 100% it will not continue.
I'm just saying,
take it to the bank. Cash it in a month.
For the opponents that they were playing in the Pacific Division, Vancouver, god-awful. Calgary, they exceeded expectations last year.
Anaheim.
God-awful.
Anaheim has been an absolute flop. What a nightmare.
Favorite.
But are you seriously expecting Anaheim to stay as bad as they are right now?
I could honestly see Anaheim becoming the LA Kings of last year and missing the playoffs because
they were the first team with a goal differential over 0 in NHL history to miss the playoffs. That is the one example you're choosing where it's like, oh wait, in 100 years, there's one team who did it, and it's them, and you're saying, yeah, that's going to happen in back-to-back seasons.
It's the exact same example.
Back-to-back seasons.
LA was supposed to be a cup favorite, and look what happened. They missed the playoffs. It was literally
the worst possible luck we've seen in NHL history, and you're calling for it in back-to-back seasons.
I'm saying.
And the team that's going to beat them is Arizona. How many times have they been in the draft lottery in the past decade, and you're going, yeah, them over the cup favorites all the time, man. They're going to get it. No, teams go on hot shooting streaks all the time. This is just that. The Leafs lost how many games in a row last year without a win? And people said, hey, guys, this isn't going to stay this way. It's not going to continue to be this bad. It's the same thing for Arizona. They're not going to keep putting the puck in the back of the net like they're doing right now. It's impressive now. It's not going to last. That's why I think Nick Ehlers is going to do it. Because even while he's doing it, while he's shooting so well, he's creating enough scoring chances that it's like even if his shooting percentage drops, he's creating enough individual chances that he's going to keep scoring, maybe not at the same rate, but he's going to keep scoring.
The only thing that I see with your Ehlers and Domi, which I'm going to drop the whole entire thing that he plays for Arizona because
they're so bad.
It's not worth it anymore.
It's not worth it. It
they're
really
so
isn't.
Bad.
It's just the fact that Max Domi is going to play 82 games.
Mm-hmm.
And Ehlers won't?
There are so many options on Winnipeg.
He is better than all of them.
That if he slumps,
he is a top 6 player.
That there are people that they can put ahead of him. It's his first season in the NHL.
So is Domi.
Yeah, which I'm talking. Yeah, I'm also talking about a first-year player.
We're having a Rookie of the Year conversation.
Yeah,
they're all first years.
There's a difference playing for Winnipeg and playing for Arizona. You just argued that right there.
It's true.
For a team like Arizona that doesn't have the skill, Max Domi is going to be receiving those first-line opportunities. He's going to be receiving the puck more on his stick. He's going to be that one guy. He's going to get majority of the scoring chances. Nikolai Ehlers, if he goes into a slump, he gets dropped down to the fourth line. you're not going to be seeing him getting all those scoring chances that Max Domi is. Max Domi's going to be looking hot. Well, Nikolai Ehlers, you're going to be like, well, where'd he go? That's all I'm saying.
I doubt Max Domi continues to score at the rate he does.
That's not what I said. What I said was
thing.
that he is going to get first-line minutes. He's going to be getting majority of the scoring chances.
Nick Ehlers will continue to get top 6 minutes, and here's why. When he's on the ice, his team averages 10 more scoring chances. 4. When Max Domi's on the ice, his team gets shelled and they gets 4 more scoring chances against. When you've got a guy who in his first year is near the top of your team in possession, in scoring chances, and in points, you don't send him down, especially if he's slumping.
I never said send him down. I just say
he-
that he's going to be going from a second line to playing on the fourth.
But why?
Players do that all the time.
Sure, players shuffle, but if he's continuing to generate those chances, and we've seen, because he has been moved through the lineup, he's been doing it on his own. They're not, oh, look, he's playing with Andrew Ladd. That's why he's getting scoring chances. He's
I
creating...
would not contribute anybody's scoring chances to Andrew Ladd.
Okay.
For one.
Jeez, that's a whole nother discussion. We're not even going there.
Can I throw another name into the rookie?
Yes,
hat,
please
before
throw another
Colton
name.
Kill someone? How about the rookie point leader, Artem Panarin? I mean,
Okay, here's the thing. I don't think he should count.
Get
why?
ready.
I don't think he should count.
Why?
Because he has past years of professional NHL
Not
experience.
his fault. Not his fault.
I know it's not his. I know it's not his
no
fault.
one's fault,
But
it's something to take
personally
into
don't.
consideration.
Yeah, I don't think it should count because he's older and he's played 3 years in the KHL, which is the next best league to the NHL. He's playing against men. He's playing against certain players who are NHL caliber, and if you look at his numbers in the KHL, it was clear this guy was going to score goals. The big question was, could he compete with the speed of the NHL? And he's shown that he can. And I don't think he should count because he has an unfair advantage. He's got years of history playing against men and playing against competition that is nearly, if not as good, as NHL caliber players.
I just don't see the NHL disqualifying him because
And
of
they
his
won't.
age, and they're
They
not
won't
going to.
disqualify him.
This
But
guy is
it
showing-
frustrates me that they will, or that they won't.
Just saying that. I think
It's
the guy,
a good.
This is your
it's a
front
good
runner
point.
right now.
He's
This is
playing
your front
top line
runner.
minutes in Chicago and proving he can be a top line winger.
I mean,
he's
yes,
a solid player.
it helps that he does play on top line in Chicago, where he's getting ice time with guys like Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane.
Second line minutes
He-
So is he
with
still getting on the
Chicago.
ice with guys like Toews and Kane?
with Kane and Anisimov. But there's a borderline for the Calder. They have it out for a reason.
I know.
It doesn't matter if the guy played in the KHL. He didn't play any time in the NHL.
But
And the fact of the matter is that when he first starts in the NHL,
You're right.
that
You're
is
right.
his rookie stint
You're
in
100%
the
right.
National Hockey League.
I
He's
get-
going to get thrown
I
in
get it.
with everybody else who goes in. The
I get
NHL
it.
doesn't care what you think. It doesn't
I
care what
know.
a guy who's 102 thinks.
well, here's my opinion. He shouldn't be there.
Well, he's still
That's
putting up
that's your
numbers
opinion.
in his first attempt at the NHL, which
But-
is the same attempt that Nikolai Ehlers, Max Domi is having.
But the
fact
difference
that
is,
he is
no,
playing.
there is a difference though.
What's the difference?
Okay, when Nick Ehlers was making up 2 points a game in the OHL, he's playing against teenagers. He's playing against young guys. When Artemi Panarin comes over from the KHL, he's just been playing against men, against able-bodied players, against Ilya Kovalchuk, against Brandon Bachenski, against a long, long list. David Booth is looking at going to the KHL. These are caliber players.
And you know what I think? You put Nikolai Ehlers over there, and he does just fine.
I don't know that Nick Ehlers in his first season in the KHL would do as well as Artemi Panarin. He had 40 points in 51 games.
But you're throwing them in the same conversation now. They're both playing against men now.
Yeah, and one of them has 2 years of experience doing it and the other doesn't.
So what?
It helps a lot. Look at the guys that come over from Sweden.
So
Look at
pretty much you're gonna say that anyone who played in Sweden League is you can't win a Calder.
No. I'm saying
Why not? They're playing against men.
because
They're playing in
that's
the
what Erik
league like
Karlsson
that.
did.
That's what you're saying.
No, because those guys are younger and the guys they're playing against aren't the same caliber as the KHL players.
Still playing against men.
But they're
That
still
was your
playing
point.
against men. That was your
point.
point coming into it. Is that they were playing against bigger guys. They were playing against stronger guys. They were playing against
agree.
men.
Against talented men, I guess.
It's just when you've got what's impressive to me about a rookie is they're doing as well as a player who has experience is. They're playing to the same caliber as someone who's been there for a few years before them. Panarin's not doing that. He's playing really, really well, but this isn't particularly new for him. It's a new league, new players, but it's the same caliber, same style. Not really the same style, but
Not really the same style.
Same
Different
size.
ice length.
Definitely
Same
different
size,
style.
though. That's different style, you're right. It's the same
Faster.
size. That's the thing. There's such a jump from
But there's so many
juniors
different
to this.
categories from KHL to NHL. There's so many different things that players need to adjust to.
Clearly
There
not.
really
He's
is.
He's doing okay.
Yeah,
Still a
because
point per
he's-
game.
Because he's playing with Patrick Kane and Anisimov. Look at the
It's
line
not-
that he's
yeah,
given.
It's not like he was bad in the KHL though.
No,
He
yeah,
was
because he was
over a
also
point a game
playing
last
with
year.
Ilya Kovalchuk. They were playing on the same line.
He is a player
He was
who,
playing
in
with
my
a
mind,
guy
is not doing anything new,
who's-
and that's why I don't
who won the
want him.
Maurice Richard Trophy.
I agree.
It's not that hard to get points when you're playing next to a stud.
Clearly, my point is that he's not doing anything new, and that's what's impressive to me about the Calder race. It's people doing something new, and he's not. That's why I don't think he should be in consideration for it. I know he will be. It's his first year in the NHL. He's in. It's not as impressive to me.
So
it's
if-
not the same as Colton Praill or as Nick Ehlers or as Max Domi. It's different.
So if
They'll be judged the same, but what he's doing is different.
So if you bring a KHL forward
Yes.
that has spent 1 year in the KHL.
2.
Okay, we're saying 2 years in the
Well,
KHL?
are we talking about Panarin or just hypothetical?
Hypothetical.
Okay, sure. 1 year.
Okay, we
1 year in
bring
the
1 year in the
Oh, I love
KHL.
these.
We bring him over and put him on a line with Henrik and Daniel Sedin. All he plays is power play time.
Yep.
He scores 30 goals.
Sure. This guy's a stud.
Yeah, because he's playing next to Henrik
Yeah,
and
but
Daniel
just
Sedin. You
30
could throw a
goals only
pylon
on-
on the
30
ice.
goals only on the power play. That's impressive power play.
Vance and Carter did it, so that's all I'm saying. But like, it does as much as it has a lot for Calder. I believe it has a lot to do with who you play with.
For sure.
A lot more than the advantage of who. Like, there is the accounts of Connor McDavid, who did a lot of his scoring by himself, and he
was
not
transformed
playing.
Nail Yakupov.
Yeah, he was not playing with key quality talent. Max Domi is not really playing with key quality talent.
Duclair's a huge talent.
Yeah, but he hasn't shown that in the NHL.
He did to a certain extent last year, but you're right.
I wouldn't.
I
go
wouldn't
that
call
far,
him. I
absolutely.
wouldn't call him playing with like a Matthew Perreault in Winnipeg. Would you put them in the same boat? I would not.
Perreault, probably not. I would give right now the edge to Perreault.
Yeah. So, and then even if we're going to Panarin, he's playing with Patrick Kane. Would you put Patrick Kane and Duclair in the same boat?
No, obviously.
Would you put Anisimov and Hansel in the same boat?
Yeah, actually.
With the lines they're playing with right now?
No, but just Anisimov and Hansel 1-to-1. Yeah, it's close enough.
So with the coming back to my original,
yeah,
if we're talking about their line mates,
yeah,
and how much of a fact it helps them out.
Okay.
How is Max Domi playing with Martin Hansel and Anthony Duclair and putting up the numbers that he is, not as impressive as Panarin with Kane and Anisimov?
It's not that it's not impressive. That's not what I argued. It's that it won't last.
I want to jump
What
in
he's
here
doing
for a
right
second,
now is
Colton.
great. It's just not going to continue to happen.
I'm going to jump in for a second. If you want to talk about players who are getting the job done with subpar talent playing beside them, then I think Colton Praill should be at the top of this list. He's playing with Carl Gunnarsson.
Bingo. Yep. The reason I didn't pick him is because it's so hard for defensemen to win
And
the
you're a
Calder.
Colton also, and it's a conflict. of
Hey,
interest.
we're
Who-
great at everything. I know
who
Aaron
won the-
Ekblad just did. I
Eli
know
is
Aaron
playing
Ekblad
with
just
Carl
did.
Gunnarsson,
But
and he has the
it is
most-
typically hard for a defenseman to win the Calder.
And he has the most points for a defenseman on St. Louis right now, and that's a team with Jay Bouwmeester, Alex Pietrangelo, and Kevin Shattenkirk. For me, that stands
Shattenkirk
for
is out, but
Shattenkirk
you're
has
right.
been injured.
still.
He certainly deserves recognition. But
Absolutely.
when it comes to the Calder, Colton's absolutely right. It's It's tough to give it to a defenseman.
Who was the last rookie to win the Calder? Was it Tyler Myers?
The last defenseman before Aaron Ekblad to win
Ekblad.
a Calder
Oh, shush.
was
It was Tyler Myers.
Tyler Myers in 2010. Before him, though, you got to go back to Barrett Jackman,
Barrett.
2003.
Barrett Jack.
That's 3 guys in the last 15 years who are defensemen who've won the Calder. It happens, but it's rare. And I'm not sure Colton Praill is going to be... Let me rephrase that. Colton Parayko's in last year's drafts class. 100%. He's in the running for sure. Colton Praill in this year's draft class.
Not in the conversation.
Not in
It's
the
because
conversation.
what we talked about earlier. People like goals. People like flashy things. People putting
like
That's
Jack
why
Eichel.
people like Johnny Gaudreau. That's why
Jack
he was there
Eichel.
and Philip Forsberg wasn't last year.
People like Max Domi.
People
I
love
agree.
Max Domi.
And that's
As
why
much as
people,
I'd love
and
to
that's why
disagree
people
with
that's why
Eli,
people like
it's
Mark Stone didn't.
Just with the
Yeah.
he's
win
playing
it.
with. Man.
Mark
Mark
Stone wasn't
is
flashy.
not flashy. He leads the league in takeaways.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, apparently he led the league in takeaways, but that's clearly not the flashiest stat, and obviously that may have hurt him in Calder Award.
Even the points and goals he scores aren't flashy enough, and I think that's what was the biggest killer for him. All right, so since I'm the host and I get to wrap it up, I'm putting it out here now. The Coast to Coast vote for Calder of the Year is Nick Ehlers. And the rest of you are all wrong, and you can saw it off. All right, that does it for this episode, guys. Thanks for listening. Check us out online, coasttocoastpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. If you like what you heard, subscribe on iTunes, and we will catch you next week.